Welcome to Today at Dunamis, the front line. Fura Palaszczuk is taking away your freedoms. Are non-vax people going to be classified as second-class citizens? What is the future for our church? Which staff will be let go by December? This and more on Today at Dunamis with Shaun and Josiah Hansen. Hello everyone, greetings survivors. Comrade Ed is here, surviving here on the front line. Shaun, how are you going? Are you surviving? How are you?
All right, well, we're not really making light of the whole situation. That's just Ed, okay? So
intimidating.
we don't always share in the opinions of the individual going business. Okay.
Were you guys a bit freaked out by that? I think that was maybe a bit too intense.
Zombie apocalypse.
So I have my guest here, okay, Josiah. So hello, Josiah.
Woo! Hello. Hey, Josiah.
Good day.
Okay. It is always good to have my son here with us. and you know what I like about this program, and Josiah, you wrote a great thing on Facebook. Do you want to read what you wrote?
It's really long.
Yeah, well, I think it's worth reading.
Yeah, I think it's important. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I think it's worth hearing. What do you think, Ed?
It was a really good post. I mean, I was motivated by that post to do that intro.
There's a sequel.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that was great. You know, I'm with you, Josiah. Speak truth, break the conditioning.
It just goes to show if you don't remain silent, you get caught into podcasts. So
yeah, exactly.
That's right. So as soon as I read that, I said, that's it. I want you on podcast.
What time did you message him out again, Shaun? Was it 5 a.m.?
5.
Oh, I think a little bit after 5.
I took a couple hours to respond.
Yeah, okay. Right. Go ahead,
I was trying to work out whether it was an invitation or it was compulsory.
An invitation or a declaration?
Because anytime I've been on here, it was compulsory.
Well, I'm just glad to have you on, son. That's always good. So would you mind reading your post for us?
Yeah, cool. I said, I've always been a private and sometimes quiet person to never stimulate conversation or emotions on social media. That's always just me, especially topics that cause confusion or alarm. Sadly, today, which was yesterday, our state of Queensland became clear of its direction towards dictatorship and discrimination. Unless you are 100% vaccinated, you are not allowed into hospitals, entertainment, or hospitality venues. Being a pastor, the reality is places of worship will fall into that category sooner than later. And although it was not mentioned in the recent press release, however, we can assume that we will be treated similar to hospitality venues as other states have done so in recent months. Obviously, this is a press release. Anything can happen in the meantime. God has and will ultimately be in charge. We may not trust the government authorities, but we have to trust Him. Throughout all biblical ruling, God changed hearts, and He will continue to use the unethical for His glory. God changed Pharaoh's heart with Moses, and God took Saul, who was by his own words chief among sinners, and used him to establish the church's reach across the world, calling Jews and Gentiles alike to Christ. In the midst of trusting God during the process, that does not mean that we should be blind. We can never forget that the power of human rulers is subject to a higher authority or power. It's contingent upon the absolute sovereignty of God, and should a situation arise in which these two authorities come into clear conflict with one another, Christians should obey God rather than men in Acts 5:29. The truth is, our society in Australia has everything far too good. Our freedom has caused our faith to be tarnished, if not movable. But now is the time more than ever to place your faith entirely upon God. Get your life right. Alight the fire that once burned bright. Become the head of your home that God instilled to be your first ministry, and pray together. Remind yourself of Ephesians 6:12, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world. I've come to realize our government is not trying to attack the church or on Christianity. It is simply a government trying to come to terms with a situation that is overwhelming whilst desperately wanting to be re-elected. The time will surely come at some point now or in the future where every church, every leader, and every Christian will have to face the ultimatum of submitting to God or submitting to government, as our Premier made her decision very clear today. I pray that whatever our future is as human beings, do not allow society to be formed into an environment of discrimination. The church should never discriminate or alienate anyone from hearing the gospel, no matter your race, social status, your wealth, or your health. Vaxxed or unvaxxed, the church needs and should remain open for all. No matter the outcome, nevertheless, Christians are responsible to uphold biblical righteousness in a hostile culture while also expressing respect for its leaders, because we know who is ultimately on the throne.
That's great words.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I especially like a couple of words you said. I liked all of it. A couple of words there where you made the statement. It's and I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Okay, that it's not that the government has set itself out to attack the church, but in the midst of a pandemic, some would disagree it's a pandemic, but in the midst of a pandemic, they're scrambling to know what to do, and they are trying to win votes.
Yeah.
Both of those things, and there are innocent people. Who that, and I was as shocked as anybody. I don't know if you were shocked, but I was certainly shocked, surprised when I heard the Premier's aggressive, assertive, and incorrect statement, in my belief, which is contrary to what I think she was saying before. Before she was saying that by December 17th, if you're not vaxxed, then that's your tough luck. That's what happens. We're opening up no matter what. Then all of a sudden, it switched to where if you're not vaxxed, basically, you almost can't get out of your house. God help you if you need to go to hospital or a doctor, unless it's a life death, you're not going. You could give birth, but your partner can't come. If you go in because you broke you tore your ligament and you need elective surgery, you won't be able to get elective surgery because you're not vaccinated. And I would find it hard. I find it hard to believe that people think it's okay. I was listening to Ray Hadley, and I think it's Neil Breen who's just jumped up in 4BC. And both these guys were saying how much they agree with it to penalise those who are unvaccinated.
What?
So which they're very verbal on that media area, which is true.
And whether you're vaxxed or you're not, I think everyone has come to the realisation that this is far-fetched. This is far from freedom of Australia. I mean, I've read stories of refugees who've moved to Australia from the Middle East or from Asian-oriented countries where there is no freedom, there is no freedom of choice or even religion. And people who've come from that and coming into this are appalled at the fact that it feels like back home. That this is not what Australia should be. And
especially when you look at places like Victoria, where they have been actually heavy-handed, where there was... I heard from a friend, Pat Massetti, who was telling me that a church, I think it was Planet Shakers, where they were ministering and giving out food hampers during the lockdown, and the police closed them down because the pastor wasn't vaccinated.
Oh, my goodness.
And those areas just handing out food hampers. So now let me do a disclosure. I am fully vaccinated. Josiah and Ed over there is not fully vaccinated. In fact, on our staff, 60% are vaccinated and 40% are not vaccinated. And I only know that because I asked Kelly to make contact.
Well, you've already exposed two of us anyway.
Thanks,
but,
Shaun.
I think there's nothing to be embarrassed.
The police are going to come visit us now.
Because one of the statements that was made was that I am biased towards vaccination. And what I'm trying to say is, okay, I'm vaccinated. If that means I'm biased, all right, okay. But I also have those here with me who are not vaccinated. And I do ask, why do you, and I'm not doing that to you right now, why are you not vaccinated? Okay. And just, I want to know, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I respect your decision, which is totally up to you. And we do know there are consequences because if you decide to do it or not. So for those who say, I'm going to die now because I had it, well, in Australia, that's 80% of the population, okay? I don't know if I want to live with some people who don't agree, okay? But I mean, and to those who aren't, they're going through justice. But there are certain things that we can stand together and say, this is not fair, not right. And what our Premier is saying, as a voice, we're saying, this is not right, this is not fair, this is not Australia, this is not good.
It goes behind everything she has said.
Well, don't you get the idea that they flip-flop? Like, one day it's this. I mean, there's a part of me that thinks, now I don't know for sure, that it could be a threatening bluff.
Bluff,
But the question is, do you really want to play chicken with it? Because they're trying to get numbers up. Because there's always going to be a percentage. It might be 5%. That's going to say, no matter what, I won't get done. So what are you going to do? Lock them up in prison? I mean, how long are you going to do that? I mean, there will be a number of people who go like, okay, this is getting a bit too far now. I'll get vaccinated. It's not for personal reasons, but just don't want to do it. And they'll get vaccinated. But there will be an element, which I would estimate 5%, that won't get done, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
Well, look at New South Wales, 95%, isn't it, is at least single vaccinated.
Yeah.
90% is double.
Yeah.
Victoria is getting pretty close.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that today, at some time,
Yeah.
because yesterday, first vaccination was 79.8 at close of day.
Wow.
And they said once we hit 80%, which must be pretty close to today, if not already, they are going to say no mask required. And that goes for everybody.
Everyone.
Yeah, vaxxed or unvaxxed, Ed.
Yeah, but I can't go to the doctors. It's like my mask off. Can't go to the doctors, right?
What do you mean? You can if you're unvaxxed.
Well, I can go to the doctors if I'm unvaxxed. I thought it was saying that you can only go to the doctors if you're vaxxed. Unless
That's
it's an
December
emergency.
17th.
Oh, December 17th.
Yeah, I'm talking about what's supposed to happen sometime today is when we hit the 80% mark of single dose, that the wording is that we don't have to wear masks unless we're in hospitals and airports, airplanes, etc.
Oh my goodness, that is so confusing.
Well, that's the problem. And,
so
and
confused.
there seems to be, and I think Josiah summed it up well in that area, as to what is behind all this stuff. You know, what is all these words? You know, what's happening here? And that's to me, which is a very real thing. You have a humorous video for me, Josiah? A video for me?
Oh, yeah. Why not? I like humor. I love...
Even at my expense,
I
I'm
love
sure.
not being serious. And in the midst of the tragedy that's happening, I think we can still, agree to disagree and have fun with it. And obviously it's a humorous video that I saw, and I figured if you're going to pull me on, I'll pull it up and have fun with it. I mean, everyone I showed laughed, but we haven't showed Pastor Shaun on the point that I'd like to see his expression of it. And yeah, I mean, I'm not vaxxed, you are. I do believe there is some truth in the vaccine, and everyone who is vaxxed does have a legitimate reason. And I think the problem with society, though, before we play it, is that we always seem to think that we know, yet we very little seek to understand. We think we know why you're not vaccinated or your reason to be, yet we never seek to understand the reason why you may not. And because everyone has a legitimate reason that they feel insecure about wanting to do it. And that was the plan. I mean, for me personally, in my home, my wife and I, we know it'll be inevitable to get vaccinated or vaccinated would be the wording to say. That was always our plan, that we'll do it eventually. And a part of us would like to have a little bit more research behind it, rather than a pandemic and obviously lockdowns that it forces mass vaccinations and things like that. And there are conspiracies, but there is truth as well. And some of those go blown out of proportion. But I think yesterday really triggered something in me, which I didn't realize was there. And that's just the fact of how this isn't becoming a freedom of choose, it's becoming a forced mandate. And then even my wife and I were filling in a holiday form yesterday, and then we realized the fact that we actually can't stay at a hotel. So I redid a form today to go before December 17th for 2 nights. And so just the things like that. And obviously I'm not one to be public. I'm not one to use social media to vent. You'll never see me vent on it. You'll never see me throw around theories. I posted a little thing, just that was what I feel in my heart. And when I was writing it, I said, God, just have your way. And what I thought was going to be a criticism or a throwdown ended up being just the realization and awareness of, okay, this is what it is, but then also realize that God is on the throne and that through everything we can still, which is so true as Christians, that no matter the outcome, Christians are responsible to uphold biblical righteousness in a hostile culture, whilst also expressing respect for its leadership. And that's something that's lacking. But yeah, we can play this video. It's fun. It just sheds light on the situation. If you take offense, send your
Keep it to yourself.
email to ed.deyoung@dunamislife.com.au.
Oh, no.
But yeah, I mean, don't take it seriously whether you're vaxxed or you're not. It's just fun. I think we can have fun along the way. Obviously, there is that we can have humor,
Even at
and
my expense.
that is the Australian, I guess,
The Aussie way.
the Aussie way. So yeah, I mean, if you want to play it, play it.
Let's do it.
A little message to the unvaccinated. Ugh. You are killing everyone. It's your fault. You're being selfish, so get the vaccine because I'm vaccinated. I am vaccinated, okay? And so I'm protected because the vaccine is safe and effective. So if you're around me and you're unvaccinated, then you're putting me at well, you're not. No, okay. So you're selfish because if I'm protected and you're around me, then I'm fine. But you're me. Sorry. If you're not vaccinated, then you're not. You're racist. Is what I'm saying.
Just a bit of fun.
That just 100% summarizes what I believe about this whole vaccine thing. It's like, hey, if I don't want to get it, what do you have to worry if you've got the vaccine? What do you got to worry? I'm going to be the one dying, not you.
Sound like Palmer.
Oh, has he been saying that?
Oh, he's got the big sign at the front of the church over there.
Oh, that's
He says,
right.
if you are vaccinated, then why are you worried about those who aren't vaccinated?
Oh, wow.
Vote Palmer.
Vote Palmer.
No, I can't do that. Okay, that's Kelly. All right. But that's the guy who's doing Craig Kelly.
Yeah.
But no, look, that's just true. I actually agree with that.
Yeah.
And I've always said this, like, if I'm vaccinated, why am I worried about the unvaccinated?
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
they say, well, you could catch it.
What?
Yeah, but I'm vaccinated.
Vaccinated.
So if I do catch it, I'm not supposed to get it as bad as the unvaccinated.
Yeah.
So it's like a flu. You're going to get it.
Yes.
But if you're vaccinated, you're supposed to get it as bad. So why the heck am I worried about it?
And
That's
that is
it.
the theory behind anyone who is not vaccinated is they're not wanting to jump to a conclusion if they don't have to. Obviously, for those who have the vaccination, they have every reason to do it. There are some who want to travel, those who are wanting to see family members. Those,
right.
I mean, everyone has a legitimate reason to be vaccinated or not to be, or those who are wanting further research done before they inject something that cannot be undone. And the problem with society is beyond a vaccine. It's the amount of discrimination that is being shown. The discrimination, I know people who have a medical condition to where they can't wear a mask and they get criticized or publicly humiliated. Or then you've got people on the other spectrum that I know who have been told by doctors, don't get the vaccine because you're known for blood clots. So then now what do? There is I think even in churches, we are going to be looking at people who are vaccine to not, and it's almost like we're going back in time where there was discrimination in race. It was, you're either black or you're white, you're either Oriental or you're Australian. And in our nation of Australia is the most, I guess, multicultural. I mean, we live in Logan City. It basically has every culture in our city.
Over 100.
And we're in a city and a society where it is so multicultural. There are so many different religions, beliefs, theories, or even mindsets of gender, whatever it may be. And yet what this stigma is creating from the head down in our leaders and our premier is that it is far beyond a vaccine. It is a race issue. It is a discrimination of you're vaxxed or you're not, you're black or you're white, you're Oriental or you're Australian or whatever it may be. And I think that's the biggest concern.
Yeah, look, I hear you 100%.
Yeah.
And I agree with you that it's absolutely wrong. And this is the wonderful thing about discussion. But at the same time, there are little things we agree and don't agree in. For example, being excused because of your blood clot. I don't believe. I like to say no doctor's going to say because you're prone to blood clot, you don't. Because I read up on the latest thing, the only excuse is not to, because they give you other things to help you through that and they monitor you. For example, I was talking to, they're not Christians, a pregnant lady. And her husband, they're connected to me, and she's several months, and we're just talking, and she said, she works at a particular like gas station sort of thing, and she said that I'm looking to go to a doctor because they're going to bring in this thing to where I can't be employed because it works in the community without being vaccinated, so I'm looking to get an exemption from the doctor. I said, oh, okay, yeah. I said, yeah, good for you. Then I said, well, why don't you see your pediatrician? You're pregnant. Oh, she said, I have. And they said, it's no excuse. We can do it. So I said, well, if your pediatrician says there's no excuse, how are you going to get a doctor? Because it doesn't happen that way. So all I'm saying is there's so many ins and outs of the areas and so many theories. It's a different thing. So, but these aren't, it's healthy to have discussion.
Exactly.
Yes.
But see, even though I might say differently to Josiah, it doesn't bring enmity between us because we both agree with the bigger story. No one should be forced.
I think
that's the idea. No one should be forced.
Exactly.
You know, if the pregnant lady doesn't want to, she shouldn't be forced.
Exactly.
You know, instead of trying to clutch, if the lady who's worried about health, she shouldn't be forced. But, you know, like you said, people who aren't vaccinated are discriminated. But I also find, Josiah, because also on your post, there was a particular lady, was on there, and she said, "Thank you so much, Josiah. I am vaccinated, but I'm being attacked by Christians."
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I know of people who are at this church who are vaccinated, and they got family who are not this church, and they're Christians, and they have said to the family here, "You're going to hell."
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Because so, and I know you can tell better stories of vaccinated talking to Elvis. I'm just telling you, there's some nasty stuff both ways, and then people trying to somehow say that because they're unvaccinated, they can liken themselves to the Jews during Nazi Germany, which I think is a total insult to the 6 million Jews who died in gas chambers and all the areas, to try and even think that in any way you come close towards Nazi Germany and what they did there. Now, I believe what's happening is wrong. Period.
Yes.
And I support that. And even as a church, Josiah, because we're both together in the area, if there was ever a day, and I use the word if because we don't want panic, but if there was a day that somehow, there was those who aren't in church, we would work out a way, whatever that would mean, to do it. But already I see people contacting you like, I'm not vaccinated. We could do these special. You need to calm down, take a chill pill, okay, relax. Because I can assure you that the thing that the enemy wants is to bring fear.
100%.
And when fear comes in, it robs you of peace. And if the path you're on is bringing fear, then stride your way, you know that there's an issue here.
Yes.
Because God does not bring a spirit of fear. But a love, power, and a sound mind.
And yesterday was obviously a press release.
It's nerve-wracking.
It's not set in stone. It's not legalized. So obviously, even as I was saying, it means that anything can happen. God has and will ultimately be in charge. And we may not trust the governing authorities, but we have to trust God.
Yes.
And if their stimulation of this was never to legalize it, but to scare people to get it, then they'll do a very good job.
Well, I don't know if they're scared to get it, but to scare people, they did a good job.
Yeah.
And this is not what government should be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Government's meant to give security, peace, direction.
Yes. Protect private property, if you want to get a bit libertarian in there.
Okay. But then I also take umbrage with the media.
Yes.
And like I said, I talk about Ray, whatever his name is, on
on the
2GB.
AM,
Ray, I've forgotten his name now. Okay. And also Neil Bean, I think his name is in the area, where they're all saying, blah, blah, blah. And there's something wrong when this sort of thing is going on, in my opinion. There seems to be no compassion, no understanding. And I agree, even with the humor in that clip, if we are done, what's New South Wales worried about if 95% have already had the first shot?
Why are they worried?
What are you scared about?
Yeah, exactly. What do you got to be fearful about?
I know. I mean, there's just some.
I think we're more afraid of death than the vaccine, to be honest.
Oh, that's a good answer, Josiah.
I think more people are more afraid of where they go when life ends. I mean, I posted a comment. I never post a comment. I live a very private life on social media. That's just me personally. I like to be present. I have 2 kids. I like to be present and not consumed by technology. And obviously, I just put my spiel. I felt God putting a desire in my heart to be a voice, not just a consumer, but a contributor. And I didn't really sign up for all the messages I received when I woke up this morning. I mean, I've had people from like, what do we do post-church? Can we do hubs and church for the unvaccinated? I've had people wwho aren't saved saying, is this the mark of the beast? How does this line with scripture? I've had back-to-back meetings all morning. I haven't even had a chance to respond yet. And if you did respond, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Yeah. And I think more than anything, as a society, we are looking for something or someone to place our hope in. And anything in this world that our hope is placed in will diminish, it will fade, it will disappoint us.
Good word.
And I think so many people are less concerned about what we put into our body. I mean, the amount of, to be honest, as I was thinking today, the amount of people I know who have come out of a abusive drug, alcohol related state, dealing out of jail, whatever it may be, redeemed, God's using them in greater ways than someone who may even be clean, that the fact of what they put in their body, God has the ultimate say. Yeah. And whether you put a vaccine in your body or not, I believe that God has the ultimate say, and sure, the vaccine is not, in my mind, doesn't have the research behind it necessary for me to take it.
Sure.
But at the same point, even if you do take it, I do not say it's the mark of the beast, because whatever you put in your body, God can undo what the enemy did as an appointment on your life.
Exactly.
And I mean, moral of the story is people that I know of who have shot themselves with the most illicit drug use.
Yeah.
I've seen God redeem them, set them free. I've seen people as a youth pastor, I've seen broken arms restored. I've seen people set free from addiction, drug, whatever it may be. And if you're afraid of what you put into your body, the ultimate answer is God, that he can set you free from that entirely.
Exactly.
I think you hit the nail right in the head. Is fear. Fear of death, fear of the areas. You know, the Bible says if you drink any deadly thing, you know what I mean? Even a serpent was to bite you. We see that, so which is true.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people, like I see people, even I want to comment on there, this sort of into having a go at church, you know, like with church. Well, I mean, the church is we the people. The church is not a building or an individual pastor or denomination. It's we the people.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've never seen a day, and I've talked to 30, 40 pastors, where since this COVID situation, so many Christians are not as committed as they were.
Yeah.
They're not coming as much. They're not in the area. And they're sometimes the ones who are the loudest.
Yeah.
They're the ones who get more caught up on the anxiety and fears and saying you're going to hell and this is here. And they're not going to church. You know, there's an old saying, Josiah, that I say to some people, "Oh, physician, heal thyself." So what that means is, rather than you trying to fix me up, how about you fix yourself up?
Yeah.
You know, the marriages are stuff up. Why don't you heal that?
Exactly.
Okay, they're not committed to a local church. Why don't you deal with that?
Yeah.
They're smoking and drinking. Why don't you deal with that area there? You know, this area here. This is all part of it, you know, and it's easy to get aggressive. Now, again, it's not taken away, and I say again, I believe 100% that what our premier in this state has said and is looking to do, I believe 100% is wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it should not matter. It should be what she originally said. I'm opening the doors on December 17th. If you're vaccinated or not vaccinated, it's up to you. The consequences are yours. See, I can live with that.
Yeah.
You know, if there's I can live with it. But when she says, I got a big stick, I'm going to whoop you, not literally, but well, I mean, that's what the police are going to do, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
They said, if you have a restaurant, we don't want you confronting them, but you call us and we will turn up. So you're going to the coffee club. Yeah. And if I use my app checking in and it doesn't say vaccinated, or goes beep, 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 unvaccinated, then they're supposed to call, what, 000? Hello, police, emergency. I have a guy here ordering breakfast and he's not vaccinated.
He's not vaccinated.
Get here fast.
Call the police.
I mean, because they had the head of the police on there, they're usually saying, we will come in. What are you, I mean, are you serious?
Great resource.
I mean, are you serious? This is what our police are supposed to do. Yeah. And so next minute, you're going to be in a coffee shop, and the police are going to come over in their jumpsuits, you know, ready the area, their little, what do you call those, pants with the pockets on it and all that stuff there.
Oh, combat gear.
They're going to come into the coffee club. What are they going to do? Knock over a couple tables, pin you to the ground, handcuff you, and say, come outside. I mean, like, seriously. Now, I'm exaggerating, I know.
On youth crime, that would be better.
But I mean, I know I'm exaggerating, but I'm just hyperbole, okay? But the fact of the matter is, I'm still trying to bring on this point that you want places to ring up the police because when they checked in, there was this blinking thing saying not fast. That's what they said on the program. Yeah. That they're going to, you know, arrest you. Are you, I mean, is this what it is?
Yeah.
I mean, like, it is.
What a time to be alive, Shaun. What a time to be alive.
I think now is the time more than ever for society to make a stand. Obviously, this has been the pathway that has been chosen by our Premier in our state of Queensland. And I think this is obviously, as I said, it's a press release. Nothing's legalised. Nothing's done. Things can change. They tried to legalise it in New South Wales with churches that obviously you can only allow vaxxed, and there were churches who stood up for what they believe was right and said the same thing of we will not discriminate whether you're vaxxed or unvaxxed, all will be welcome, colour, race. And then New South Wales pulled back their spiel and said, well, obviously anyone can go whether you're vaxxed or not. So obviously it is a bluff, but I think now is the time in this quiet phase as a community, as a society, whether you're saved or you're not, to rally together. Don't discriminate. Don't try and pinpoint one is better than the other. I think as Christians, seek to understand rather than trying to challenge. And we are so easily wanting to challenge than we are wanting to understand what people may be feeling or going through. This morning, I was at a business that I attend regularly, and I'm not going to expose any of them because from the get-go, they've had the belief of, take your mask off. You don't need to wear it here. It's fine. We don't believe it. And for them as a business owner, they don't believe in any of it. They're not vaxxed. And even as I was saying this morning is when the time comes, they will remain open for the vaxxed or the unvaxxed. They will not close their business to only a vax society, and they made that clear. And obviously the repercussions of what they will have to go through and how they can manage that. But obviously if that is what their belief is, then I think that's a great thing to support, but each to their own. There will be some that would challenge them of you're doing the wrong thing because you're doing that. There were some who applaud them of what they're doing. But at the same time, we all have a legitimate reason or what we're feeling to do what we do and seek to understand rather than to challenge someone in what they're going through.
So, someone asked, what will happen to businesses who don't close them to the unvaccinated? Well, I think we already have illustrations in New South Wales. And what happened in New South Wales is it's how you say it. So, for example, there was at least a couple of businesses, one was a pub, another was a cafe, that actually put a sign up saying, unvaccinated welcome. It drew the attention of the authorities. So they closed the pub down, fined it. And in one cafe, they actually put cement blocks in front of the area, like no service. Okay. But there are many more businesses who serve both, but they do it discreetly. When I say discreetly, not that they're embarrassed, but they'll say, well, we're not the police. I mean, have you gone to any like Bunnings, anywhere else? I mean, a couple of times I've walked into Bunnings without a mask.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not intentionally, but I just jump out the car, I didn't have it. And when I'm in it, I realize I don't. I've never been pulled up.
It is a lot more relaxed now than it's ever been.
I've never been pulled up. The only time I got pulled up, this is the first time.
From speeding.
No, not wearing a mask. I was at Pacific Fair. It's my day off Monday. And my wife wanted to go into a particular jewelry store to look at some jewelry. Talking about Christmas. I won't say which one. At Pacific Fair. And we'd walked around the mall and I realized I didn't have my mask. Okay. And I saw a person outside the front of this jewelry store masked up. It was Tiffany's. That's what it's called. She just wanted to have a look. We didn't buy anything. Just want to have a look, right? And so I said, I haven't got my mask on, babe. She's got hers. So I walked up and, I logged in. And the person, polite person, said, how are you? And I said, good, thank you. And the person said, would you like a mask? And I said, do you require me to have a mask? He said, could I give you one? I said, sure, you can give me one. So, and I put it on. Okay. And then when I left that, I took it off. So there was nothing rude. There was nothing.
That's mutual respect.
And if I had said this person no, I would have got in without it. I'm telling you now, right? But the person was so polite. So he says, you wearing a mask? I said, how could, this person was so polite. They said, can I give you a mask? And I said, would you like me to have one? I said, well, can I give you one? So it still didn't say, must have been well trained in, is Asian. It must have been well trained in manners because I never ever once felt
like forced or anything, right?
Forced. And so I said, and the Bible says, learn to make peace with everyone. So I said, you know what? If it just helps in this area, who cares? I put it on for a second. And I put it in my back pocket. I said, okay, I scored another mask. That's okay. So I didn't find that, whereas I know my mother, she went to the doctor's surgery. She had to check up in Wickham Terrace last week. And she went to the doctor's surgery. She forgot a mask. Okay. She went in there and I said, you need a mask. She said, do you have one? I said, yes, I'll put it on your bill. And they charged her for a little paper.
What?
It's a doctor's surgery. I'll put it on your bill.
What the heck?
There's a Gucci
Big
one.
shout for Tiffany's. Bad shout for the doctor's office.
I mean, that's the thing, though. I think we've got to seek to understand where people are coming from. I think there are some. I've been in cases where someone felt uncomfortable by me not wearing a mask. So I put one on out of respect for them. And I think that's where society has to rally together. This is beyond a mandate of a drug. It's discrimination and showing equality and not trying to bully people because we have a different opinion. And that has always been our society from the get-go. Just because I have a different belief doesn't mean I'm against you. And the same thing of whether you're vaxxed or if you're not, or whether you believe this is the mark of the beast, that's great and it's awesome, have that theory. But the reality is we always change our mindsets and we change through different things because we go through different seasons.
And something we're not talking about, Josiah, that I get concerned for is they were saying that out of all these cafes, cinemas, everything else, staff must be vaccinated now. Otherwise, they're going to be let go. So how many young people who work at the cafes, the restaurants, the cinemas, the events now? So it's not just the one area, but all of it. You know what I mean? So that would mean job loss. That means the Premier said this, because companies are asking us what to do or how to do it, we've taken the decision out of their hands and made it for them. That's what the Premier said. And doing it. So what happens then at a coffee club where I frequent? And they say to them, all right, you girls, guys, you got 2 weeks. If you're not, you're fired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So the management is forced,
Yeah.
okay, in regards to that. So,
And there are big businesses, corporations who will do that because it stems from the head. But then there are, which I believe, as I have heard, there are independent businesses who are standing on the opposite side.
Yeah.
And then both have their reasons, but then again, don't discriminate one because they're one or the other because they're not. But I think that is the biggest predicament of this year and this society is that discrimination, which is beyond this.
So what happens to the local cafe, coffee shop?
Well, I would believe that the locals would support them, but it wouldn't be long
the law
between they
would
would
stop
try and
them.
enforce it. Yeah,
So how does the law know? Because the
it's going
law
to be
says
a very fine line.
they would come in and inspect and say, do any of your staff or any of your staff not vaccinated?
Let's see the COVID passports. Let's see them. Where are they?
But let me say this too, talking about the COVID passports, okay, because this is a good truth. It was Boris, the United Kingdom Prime Minister.
Boris Johnson. Yep.
Cancelled it.
Who said that it's coming for a couple of months. You're going to have to carry your papers with you, da-da-da-da-da. And then basically a week or a few nights before it happened, the Parliament met and they said no.
Oh, wow.
Now, what we have to understand is this, is that a lot of people are saying, ScoMo should be doing something. We run a different system to the UK,
Yes, we do.
all right? We run a different system to where the states have the say. Now, in regards to the UK, it is their federal government that has the say, and they have the counties.
Yes.
Well, over here we have states,
Which
are like governments in themselves.
Yeah.
So the federal government cannot overrule
State
the
authority.
state.
Yeah.
It's separated. Okay, they can't do that, and I think that's what a lot of people misunderstand. Here's the thing I can tell you: I didn't vote for the current government that's in the state.
Yeah.
Right, and I won't be voting for them the next time either. But
Yes.
I can tell you right now, as much as you might voice this, the majority of the people support. The majority of the people support, and that is coming through, and that's something you have to live with. So it comes in now. The thing that I get caught up with is the hyperboles, which is the over-exaggerated points.
Yeah.
This is like Nazi Germany. Well, that's just insulting towards any people who survive. It's insulting.
yeah.
You should stop doing that. It's totally
I think
insulting.
people, if you want to find a conclusion, a belief, you'll find it.
Yeah.
You'll find one.
I read something a while ago which was funny because someone posted a photo of Dan, the Premier of Victoria, and he was speaking, and his fingers were placed like this, like a triangle.
Illuminati?
And then I saw a photo, of obviously Adolf Hitler with his hands like that.
Okay.
And then in a
yes.
funny spiel, I saw someone post a photo of you preaching and you're doing that, and then they had a good comment because like it's a posture, it's not affiliate, although you can think that this is a symbol of Nazi, and then the funny thing was, I think I was preaching on a Sunday and that was at the back of my head, and I didn't realize that my hands went together like a pyramid, probably like 15 times.
Oh,
and
no.
every time,
Is that because you subconsciously think
and I
about
was
it?
subconsciously thinking of this person's comment, and every time it did that, I was like trying to put it somewhere else, and then my hands kept going together, and I'm like, man, this person's going to think I'm a Nazi. But then if you want a conspiracy, you'll find it.
You will, yeah.
Like you don't have to look very far, and your mind will wander wherever it wants to go. Whatever you're looking for, you'll find.
Yes.
Or, for instance, a lot of times as a pastor, people will seek me for counsel. Hey, can I get advice on this relationship, this thing? What should I do? And usually what happens is people will go to someone for advice, and if it's not what they want, they'll continue to go to someone else until they find someone they agree with.
Agree.
Yeah.
And I always say this, that if you already, if you are already unsure or uncertain about the answer, you already have your answer.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the peace of God. And so many times what we are looking for will always be found if we look long enough.
That's good. Do you remember a couple of years ago, there was a statement that Hillsong was into Satanism, that because at one of their stage settings, they had like symbols or something that they said was satanic, and they had it in the area. Now, this is a good lead into one of our stories, Josiah, because have you heard of QAnon? Okay, so QAnon is a conspiracy thing, about Trump was going to stay and everything else. So there was this incredible thing happened just last week.
Yes.
Right? So the story went like this: through QAnon, and there's Australians who are into it. It said, you need to meet in Dallas. When was it meant to be, Ed? Do you have that story up there?
It was meant to believe at 11:55 in Dallas.
What day was it? A Tuesday or Wednesday?
Man, you'd think this article would have that listed
last
in there
week.
somewhere. It was somewhere last week, yeah.
Meet in Dallas because Trump will be appearing with QAnon. And QAnon is JFK, who was killed in the 60s.
JFK Jr.
Son.
Oh, son, yeah.
Now, his son died in a plane crash over 20 years ago. But according to QAnon, he never died. He's in hiding.
Yeah.
And he is the secret of QAnon.
Yes.
And they were going to meet on the grassy knoll where his father was shot in the head.
Yeah.
And there on that grassy knoll, they were going to announce that Trump to be president and Kennedy would be his running mate.
As VP.
And then after Trump had done his term, then Kennedy would do a term as president.
Is it all
Now-
a conspiracy?
QAnon, is it all a conspiracy?
No,
Kennedy's dead.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like 300 people,
Yes.
mostly Christians,
Yeah.
because Christians are suckers, okay, turned up with banners. Do you have any pictures of the banners they had?
Yes, I got
You got to look at this banner. Just
one.
they actually made up banners. These are Christians, okay? They made up banners of Trump and Kennedy together. This is they're ready. Okay, this is in Dallas on the grassy knoll.
Yeah.
Okay, where he shot. And can you see just there? Do you see Trump Kennedy? The sign there, Trump Kennedy.
Yeah.
See it there? They're there waiting for them to come out.
Wow.
Right? Now, need I say, nobody came out.
Yeah, nothing happened.
So then QAnon says, in several hours, he will actually be turning up at the baseball game there in Dallas. So this time, about how many people went, Ed?
What was it, like 50 or something
50
like that?
or something, turned up saying, no, it's still on. And they turned up at the baseball game, waiting for the deceased Kennedy Jr. to turn up. Here's the issue, Joe. What you said is so spot on. If you want to find something, you will find. If you want the mark of the beast, you will find
You'll
it.
find
if
it.
this wants to be the end of the world, you will find it. If you want something to find it, you will find it.
Yeah.
And this is look. I know. All right, it's really quite sad because I know people who are connected to me in the States, who are good, genuine people who are really, really, really caught up in this, and they are good people. And but it doesn't matter what I say. Others say I cannot make them think it's not happening. I cannot do it. But that was a story I talked to Ed about last week, wasn't it, Ed? Like it was just totally out there. Now, don't excuse. Ed laughed. It doesn't mean he's not being compassionate.
It's like the
nerves.
shockingness of it. Yeah, like we all have different reactions to like when you hear
Compassion
weird things.
reverse.
Yeah.
See, he does it again. But no, it's quite true. So, I mean, here's the question, Josiah. We agree it's wrong.
Yep.
Okay?
We agree on that.
We agree that it's bullying,
Yeah.
Yes.
it's threatening, it's intimidating,
Yep.
and it's not Australian.
Yeah.
So the question is, what do you do? Now, there's so many people out there who say, the church is rotten, and these people say they don't go to church anyhow, or they're not committed, okay? What do you do? I saw one pastor's wife posted today say, will the vaccinated stand up for the unvaccinated? So I put onto the post, yes, I will. I am doing that, okay? So this is someone who I'm guessing is not vaccinated. Yes, I will. They didn't answer me, but I said, yes, I will. So the question is, what do you do as an unvaccinated person in resisting, complaining, whatever? What do you do?
Have faith in God. I think that's a big thing. And I think even throughout all biblical stories in the Bible, God still was able to use people and men for his glory.
Wow.
And I think even of the Israelites with Pharaoh and Moses, and as much as the Israelites were in slavery and bondage under Pharaoh, sure, there could have been anarchy, there could have been something, but they remained in slavery, and it took those plagues for Pharaoh to release it. At the end of the day, the reality is God is on the throne. And God can change things, which I believe we need, as Ephesians 6:12 says, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authority, against the powers of this dark world. And the reality is we are fighting a spiritual darkness in this world that is beyond what we can physically do. Obviously, what I've seen more and more of Christians is they slander our leadership, disrespect ScoMo, the Prime Minister, and they are too easily slandering, disrespecting that they eventually lose their witness. People who are slandering other Christians because they made a decision to get vaccinated, saying it's the mark of the beast, you have the mark of the beast, you probably have 666 as a tattoo now on you, or maybe you had vaccine number 666, whatever it may be. You are losing your witness for the kingdom that is far beyond a vaccination.
Very good point.
It's about the kingdom. And that's why, even as I closed on my message last night, I said, no matter the outcome, nevertheless, Christians are responsible to uphold biblical righteousness in a hostile culture while also expressing respect for its leadership, because we know who is ultimately on the throne. And I think as Christians, we can have a stand, but then we can also gain our witness as well. And there is a way to obviously show respect, but obviously also stand firm. Obviously, we're in unprecedented times. We don't know what the future may hold. We don't even know what church may hold. I've been asked numerous times, what does the church's stand on what will happen? And obviously of my awareness as well, obviously with people being shut out of hospitals, entertainment, hospitality venues. Obviously, the reality is church will be a part of hospitality, but I'm sure our sporting stadiums will be filled. So, we don't know. But what we do know is that God is on the throne, and through everything that we go through is an opportunity that God could be glorified. And even if you think that our premier is so twisted or corrupt or whatever it is it may be, or maybe even I've heard slandering of our Prime Minister Scott Morrison and the oath that he made as a Christian and what he's allowing into our country. And just as God took Saul, who was in his own words, chief among sinners, God used him to establish the church's reach across the world, calling Jews and Gentiles alike to Christ. Saul wasn't God's chosen king, but God was able to use him for a greater good, that then he brought in the unprecedented work that King David did. But God could still use something that was mediocre, that wasn't God's choice, but God was still on the throne. And I think through the situation we're in, God can still be glorified. And that's why I think beyond a drug, beyond a needle, it's discrimination, and not that we're being discriminated. We're actually tearing each other apart more than our government.
That's great. I was thinking of a scripture, Josiah, and I mean, you got to remember, first of all, let me say this, that when Jesus was born, he was born to a family from a village called Nazareth in the area of the Sea of Galilee in Capernaum. And when he was growing up in those years, Judea, where he was collapsing into chaos. The taxes, the injustice. I mean, you even remember that when his mother Mary and Joseph were called to go to Bethlehem, it was this dictatorial rule that came from Rome that didn't give them a choice, that he had to travel 160 kilometers with a heavily pregnant wife, 100 miles, to an area that probably he did do farming, but it was a failed thing. And he's come out trying to find other work of his hands. And he came back there because the injustices, and they estimate taxes 50 to 60%.
Oh my goodness.
If you didn't have money, it'd be your crops and make you work in that field to pay it. So this was an injustice of an outside force. And this population in which Jesus was born into, in Nazareth, it rose up to, had split into hostile groups. There are preachers and prophets who are roaming the countryside, drawing passionate crowds. There's one group saying, the Messiah is coming, whom Jesus affiliated with, John the Baptist. But there are other groups who are zealots, who says, let's get together and overthrow the government. The Bible says Simon was a zealot. And he was a part of the conspiracy to use violence to overthrow the existing government. So not only was it the Roman Empire, an outside force, but you had Herod, who wasn't even a Jew. He was an Arab who was put in place by Rome, not by the people, and he could kill you at the drop of the hat. He could order your throat slit. He could take your wife. This is the barbarity of it all, you know. Yeah. And this is the time which Jesus is born. And there is this anarchy. There's this unsettledness. And I read a couple of passages in John chapter 19. And Pilate says to Jesus, "You're not talking to me," meaning Jesus was silent. "Don't you know that I have the authority to release you and the authority to crucify you?" And Jesus says this. He says to Pilate, "You would have no authority over me at all if I hadn't been given to you from above."
Yeah. Wow.
Jesus says, even though what you're doing is wrong, God's still in control.
Yeah.
And Jesus said, "This is why the one who handed me over to you has greater sin," which is Judas. But he's saying here, the authority you have, God gave you.
Yeah.
Now you'll answer for how you use it. And the chapter before, chapter 18, verse 33, it says, Pilate went back into his headquarters. He summoned Jesus, and he said to Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Verse 34, Jesus said, "Are you asking this on your own, or have others told you about me?" Because the Jews say this is why he should be crucified, because they're the king of the Jews.
Yeah.
And Herod says in verse 35, "I'm not a Jew." Okay? And Jesus says, "I'm not a Jew, am I?" And Pilate replied, "Your own nation and the chief priests hand you over to me. What have you done?" And he says here, "My kingdom," this is what Jesus says, he says, "My kingdom is not of this world." Jesus said, "If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would fight so that I wouldn't be handed over to the Jews. As it is, my kingdom does not have its origin here." And I think this is exactly what you're saying, Josiah, is fear comes in.
Yeah.
And when fear comes in, we lose sight of who we are in the kingdom of God. We claim that we have eternal life, yet we're scared of death.
Yeah.
We claim that we have the answer after life, and we're scared to death. We're scared to die. And I can only put that down to because we know that if anything happened to us right now, we'd fall short.
Yes. Yeah.
And that puts in this fear. And when we become fearful, like anything, we begin to attack and say things.
Yeah.
But, you know, Jesus said this, if my kingdom was of this world, my servants would fight.
Yeah.
Now, you know, that's a tough call. That's a tough call. So it's not that I, as a pastor, let me tell you something. I've often said I was born for a time of war. But this is not the war.
Yeah.
This is a time to have faith. This is a time to rest in God. And like Josiah said, and I love so much the words he said about we need to have that faith and we need to rest in God because God is in control. You don't need to go into panic like, "Oh no, we got to do underground church. This happens. Oh no, we need to do this. Oh no, we need to do that area there." We need to be Christians who have our faith in God. And if you are overcome with fear and you're already thinking about, we need to do secret church, we need to do this here, I'm saying to you, there's something missing in your faith. You need to get better. For example, Romans 12:2, it says, "Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world."
Yeah.
What is the pattern of this world?
Like this right now.
Right. So what is right now? Fear, intimidation, anxiety,
indifference.
uncertainty, indifference. So Romans 12:2, Paul says, "Do not conform," meaning don't give in, "to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the what? Renewing of your mind."
Yeah.
And then what? You better test and prove and know the perfect will of God. People don't know the will of God.
Yeah.
They don't know, should we be doing this, should we be doing this? They don't know God's will because they're not being transformed in their mind.
Yeah.
That's why Paul says, Philippians 4, thinking that which is good, encouraging, building, strengthening upon these things dwell. And we've got to get back to grassroots in relationship.
Yes.
So Josiah said to me before the program, the last thing I want is Christians getting paranoid and thinking, "Oh no, we're going to do here." And he's so spot on.
Yeah.
We need to anchor ourselves in our faith.
Yeah.
Hebrews 6:19, hope is an anchor for our soul. Our soul is our emotions.
Yes.
Anchor your emotions. When I read Josiah's statement, I appreciated it very much. I mean, obviously I read it early morning hours because you did late hours. So
I got to do it when the kids go to sleep.
yeah. So what time did you do that?
Oh no, I started at like 8:30.
8:30.
Oh, wow.
9. When did you post it?
9.
9?
No, I think like 11.
11.
I waited to
I was
Jess
out.
got home to
Yeah.
check, and then she said, "You actually been really kind," and then I actually reconsidered it.
Yeah.
But then it still came out pretty kind.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I read yours for what's at 3:00 this morning,
Yes.
and so that's why I connected with you at 5. But I enjoyed it,
Yeah.
because I check it,
Yeah.
and but I
I think
enjoyed
that's
it.
the biggest battle we have right now is with each other.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
beyond a government.
Yeah.
I think there is a moment in all of us in every generation throughout the whole Bible. There is a moment where where God wants to raise up a David or a Moses,
Yeah.
and God is raising up a generation who will honor him, and beyond. People will always have an opinion. People will always say, and people will always change things. But as a community of believers, as Christians, as sons and daughters of God, there is a time for unity, not division. A unity to build rather than compare.
Yeah.
And I think that is beyond a mandate. It's
yeah. And so that's what's so very important. Okay, is using the Word of God, and that's what's important. And that's what I love about the Word of God, and how truth is in the Word of God. And how it all works together. And that's, to me, is what brings me peace. And Book of Romans, it talks about how we're meant to deal with government and areas. I think of the early church fathers, who just gave themselves willingly.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Which was phenomenal what they did, and how their testimony. I think of under Nero with false calls and false truths, which I think was just really, from Nero, where Christians were burnt and executed, yet their witness, because of how they handled life and even death, they would sing in worship, even as the fires came around them in these areas, and Polycarp was one of my favorite ones in that area in his 80s, when they said, deny the Lord, and live. And he says, how can I deny the one who has saved me?
Yeah.
And he was burnt at the stake singing to the Lord. And all the way we see the faith in that area.
And no matter the outcome, we don't know. We don't know what tomorrow holds. We don't know if this is a bluff. We don't know if this is just a press release. We really don't know. And no one knows, because every country is doing things different, because no one's been here. Everyone is trying to figure it out on the go.
Yeah.
But what we do know is that God is on the throne.
Yeah,
and
he
if
is.
injustice is shown, God is our vindicator.
Yeah.
Yes.
And through it, we can, seek to not just be right, but to be God honoring.
Yeah.
That our witness would be higher than just having a right. Anyone who's always right is always segregated. Anyone who is, it's always me, it's always the answer. Those who always have that religious mentality are those who don't socialize with Christians.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this is beyond, obviously, for church. We don't know what it looks like, whether, vaxxed or unvaxxed, we don't know. And then obviously they're mandating this in businesses, vice versa. And for church, we don't know.
Yeah.
But one thing is that we'll go through it together. We'll work it out together. Worst case, I'll go start a church for the unvaxxed on their own.
Right. I'm going to back paddock or sell churches.
I'm just kidding.
I'll be there. I'll be
But
there
like,
with you.
we will navigate this together as a church, as a family, as believers, as sons and daughters, as human beings. We will navigate it together.
Yeah.
We will love you. We will not show injustice. We will not be racial or discriminate your color, your race, your belief. And I think unity in the body of Christ is what God desires.
Yes. Yeah.
The kingdom.
Yeah. And you can always be assured that we'll feed you as you go through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if Elijah talks about the ravens, well, to a lot of the areas Jews, the ravens are actually the Arab group people in black who fed them. So I'll be a raven for you. Okay, as we finish off right now, let's just bring this to close here.
Yes.
Just say, Lord, I just speak peace over people right now, and I stand against the spirit of fear, intimidation, and I speak against the craziness that wants to fill people's minds. It is the vaccinated against the unvaccinated. It's the unvaccinated towards the vaccinated. Remember this, that we are known because we're followers of Jesus.
Yeah.
And therefore, because we're a follower of Jesus, as you said, Lord, there's neither Jew or Gentile, slave or free, or male or female. We are one in the body of Christ. And Lord, I just speak the blessings of God. And I speak it all over. I think of my sister Crystal in Hobart right now, and the battles that you're facing, my dear sister. And you know that Sandra and I love you, and we're praying for you and praying God's peace and favor over you. My friends in the Philippines who joined in, just God's hand over you, and in that area of ministry, God's blessings. We think about the challenges here, but we have no understanding what you are having to go through over there. And Lord, in so many areas and so many places, we speak God's peace and favor.
Yes.
Let me for a minute, just talk about our Christmas program coming up.
Yes.
This Sunday morning, you are sharing the Word of God with us.
Yep.
You got a sermon title?
Yeah, I got it this morning. I haven't written it down. It was I haven't written it down.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Fresh man. Little consumed mentally.
Okay, and so we look forward to you sharing. There's at 8 a.m. and at 9:30, and we'll be live streaming our 9:30.
Yes.
And I'll be having the privilege to share at 6 o'clock.
It's called sanitize your hands. That's it.
Sanitize your hands. That's very applicable.
Wait, actually?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Sanitize your hands.
Sanitize not provided.
Oh, very good. And of course, on Sunday evening, we'll be doing prayer again. This is where God spoke to you. This will be 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, that half hour of prayer
It's awesome.
before the 6 o'clock has made the 6 o'clock a different service.
Yeah.
So from 5:30 to close enough to 6.
I think it brings in anticipation.
Yes.
I think
I feel it.
we treat church like, a first world country where we just want to be entertained. Like we want to be entertained with our phone, YouTube, movies, Netflix, Disney, everywhere we want entertainment, but rather church at times can be something that we're entertained by rather than what we participate in. And I think the greatest thing about prayer is people are coming and they may come in feeling terrible, but they walk out feeling empowered, not because the worship team sang the perfect song or the preacher just spoke the perfect message, which never happens, all of those things, but they came with anticipation that God was able to speak to them and they were moved. And I think the greatest thing about prayer is you're seeing people who would come half an hour late, people who would maybe come to church once a fortnight, or people who just don't have or haven't had that fire in their belly for God. They're coming half an hour before the church and they're praying, they're seeking, they're on their hands and their knees, they're crying, they're having visions. People are having visions of God in our city, and I think there's no greater time than now to pray, and if not now, then when? Or if not you, then who? And that has really been my spiel to pursue this. It's if not now, then when?
Yeah. Good word. And so that'll be this Sunday. So the 8 and 9:30, you'll be sharing the word. 9:30 is live stream. At the 6 o'clock, I'll be sharing. It'll be live streamed. And at 5:30, we'll be having prayer. And also coming up, because
Christmas.
we're in November, we're having our Christmas program.
Yep.
So it's only a couple of weeks away now, Ed.
Yes.
So on the 28th of November, that Sunday night, is our first program, which is?
The Christmas Carols, which is our...
Whoa.
Sorry.
Whoa.
I'm trying to pull up. Which is our church's
Carol Spectacular.
Carol Spectacular.
Carol Spectacular.
So that's combined with acting, singing, a bit of all that stuff. It's always fun. It'll be a packed house. We are operating in the COVID events page. So that is, we're under 500 people. Everyone is ticketed and reserved seating. The beautiful thing is that you can choose your seat, which is so great on our behalf, because we had to choose everyone's seat last year and you will not please every single person. So come along. Don't leave it last minute. I do believe last time I checked, we are like half booked already, and which is so great. Choose your tickets, your seats, where it is. Bring the family. Obviously, try and be as prepared as you can be, because if you come a week before and you want a ticket and it's sold out, we got nothing for you. If you decide last minute that family wants to come and they're not sitting with you, you had your chance to book. And if you did buy tickets and you want to change your tickets, or you want to go in a different section, you can get a refund. Just email us or request a refund. We'll refund you. Those seats will go back live again.
It's
for someone to
$2.
buy. It's $2. Well, we wanted to charge $1 last year, and we realized that we actually pay $1 like 97. So we had to put it up to $2 to cover a fee, because we're not making anything. No. But it places value on the ticket, that people don't just book 100 tickets and not show up.
So we don't get the money, it goes straight to Ticketek.
Yeah, basically it goes there.
So what happens, this is just so you understand this, right, is that so we got 4 special events, right?
Yes.
We have the 28th, which is our special Carol Spectacular. We have the 5th of December, which is our markets, the tree and the singing outside, and that is not ticketed, just outside you come. Then we have the 12th of December, which is our production, okay? And then we have the 19th, which is our sort of worship night. But on the 2 events, which is the 5th and on the 12th, you need tickets, because under the government, we're still cut back like half. But even just to get a bit more in, another 100 or whatever else, we have to do it as an event. So to be an event, the government controls us, regrettably, where we have to go through Ticketek. And Ticketek's fee is $2. Okay? So that fee does not come to the church. That fee goes to Ticketek, which is like $1.97. So that's where it goes. That's what happened. But we are bound by this government that's what we have to do to get more bottoms on seats. So I just want you to know where it's at and how it works. If you can't do the ticket, you can't ring up and say, let's do it. You need
we
to
will
come
have someone
in.
at church.
Someone at church to do
so-
it. We had people
so
say, can you hold
yeah.
a seat for me? Can't do it. Come in. And Jacinta did a great thing on Facebook
Yeah, just showing them how to
about
do
how
it.
to do it. So come in.
Yep. So if you're struggling or whatever it may be to buy a ticket, don't have a card acceptable, whatever it may be, if you're coming to church Sunday, 8, 9:30, 6, we'll have someone at the back of the church with an iPad. You can buy tickets there directly, pay cash, and go from there. But please don't leave it last minute. You'll regret it. You'll miss out. It happened last year. It happens every year. And obviously this is what we do.
It's a
to
big risk
comply.
turning up at the door.
Yes.
Yeah, we won't get in.
So let me say this. So starting from the 28th of November is all of our Sunday night special.
Yeah.
So the 28th, then the 5th, then the 12th, then the 19th. Now, just listen to me for a moment about our Christmas because it's a little bit different.
Yes.
So Christmas Eve is on Friday the 24th,
Yes.
okay, which is 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., 1 hour service with communion. I'll be doing that. Our Christmas Day is on Saturday the 25th, which is 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. I'll be sharing a different message. I'll be sharing there, so they're all different messages, and that will be of communion, 9 to 10.
Yes.
We are live streaming those services.
Yes.
Now, Sunday falls on Boxing Day, the 26th.
Yeah.
So what we are doing on that Sunday, only that Sunday, we're doing one service, 1 hour service, 9 to 10 on Sunday, the 26th of December. Josiah's sharing the word there. So just take note that over that weekend of Friday the 24th, Saturday the 25th, Sunday the 26th, they are 1 hour services, okay? And just know that for what's
do we
happening.
have service times for the unvaxxed there or no?
Oh, let me take a look. I don't see any.
Yeah, okay, well, let's have faith
We will
together.
navigate it through.
Yes.
Yeah, so don't panic. Stop calling us and saying what we're going to do or calling Josiah, okay? We will cross that bridge when it comes, just like we have always done when they've closed us down for COVID. We've been running services through live streaming.
Live streaming, yeah.
We love you. We believe in you.
Yes.
And we are speaking God's peace on you. Do not panic. Do not fear, for this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it.
Yeah.
God bless you. Thank you, Josiah, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Forced or willing?
The first one.
I'm glad to have you on. God bless you.
Hey, make sure you smash like. Thanks for joining us on Today Dunamis today. See you next week.
Today, to talk life.